What's up? What are we doing today?
I am cleaning the Mazda truck so we can situate the shop a little bit better because we have plenty of space. So the Mazda truck is in final assembly, so it's going to go into the clean room, but it needs to be cleaned first. Welcome to the channel. We're doing an update on the Mazda truck project known as the RX2200 drift truck / shop truck for now. We have done a lot to it. I've been working on some short form content, so now we're gonna package it all into a long form video. So right off the bat, where we left off was I have the engine mounted in the truck, the exhaust fabricated, and we now have a beautiful Champion radiator thanks to Leadfoot Racing, and it is awesome. It's not polished, but it is very shiny. Has a bleeder valve on top, and it's gonna be plenty radiator. I have my oil cooler mounted up here. I still need to run my oil cooler lines down and around. The engine is completely built and it is ported. I've been working on the intake manifold and some of my short form content that you've probably seen. If not, go check that out. I explain all of the things about the VDI and the 6-port actuators. Those are going to work on this project because I just want to play with them. And we'll go check those out here in a moment. We have the wheels powder coated now, so they're not rusty anymore. Like, look at this. It's black bronze color. I know it's kind of hard to see in this light right now. They are powder coated this color. These tires are just to roll around the shop until we get the truck back on the road. They're a little roach. They're actually off the camper. But 14s. 14s for the win. I have noticed that the Pour 15 is not UV resistant, so it's slightly yellowing, but that's okay for right now. The interior is just about ready to rock and roll. We washed the carpet. I got the seat reupholstered. We're keeping the bench seat for right now. The standalone computer that's going to run the engine will have an LCD display, and I'm going to mount that right up in here. To maybe not right in front of the speedometer, but so this transmission ended up being the front half of the FC transmission and then the tail shaft of the truck transmission. That way I could move the shifter location forward about 9 inches because I didn't want to change where the shifter came through the floor, specifically because I was keeping the bench seat. Though it's kind of cool because the pickup truck shifter fits into the FC tail housing, so it looks all nice and OEM from this side of it, though it is the RX-7 transmission. Excited to see what that's like with the truck's rear end and the gear ratio, so that'll be a fun time. But we're giving this truck new life. And so the next couple things, I got some lines to run. The standalone ECU will be here shortly. I went with a Max Street Edition standalone ECU and a harness, so we're going to wire that all up. And I still need to do the fuel pump. I'm going with an in-tank fuel pump, so I need to drop the gas tank and do that little business. So that'll be a later video with that. So we have been doing lots of little things. There's lots of little things to do. So let's go check out that intake manifold. It's really pretty. Yeah, I know, we're shooting video. Hey, we're shooting video. So, this is the S5 6-port intake manifold that I have modified a little bit. Try and do some of my own trick things, and we'll see if they work. So to start off, this is the throttle body. I didn't necessarily do anything to the throttle body itself besides removing the double throttle plates that was right here. Those are only there for when the engine's cold, so you can't redline the engine when the engine is cold in the stock format. So I removed those. That'll give me some better flow. And then I port matched these a little bit. I didn't take a whole lot off, but I did a lot of sanding to smooth out the castings on the inside of it. And then I cleaned it up with Lumibrite. And this portion feeds into this portion right here. Again, with a little bit of port matching. Opened them up a little bit so they breathe. I cleaned out the VDI and made sure that's going to work a lot smoother. It was stuck a little bit, so that'll operate nicely. And these ones I did open quite a bit to get them to match this side. And once again, kind of polished them as far down as I could. So that's gonna be fun. This bottom portion, we welded a plate onto where the air control valve would go. I'm not running that, and now we have actuators for the 6 ports. This was a little bit more of a conundrum than I thought it would be, specifically finding pieces to do this, because the original intake, I had one of these actuator rods snapped, and I didn't think I could make one necessarily super easily, so I wound up finding a S4 intake manifold to steal the parts off of. Lo and behold, they are completely different. They look the same, but they are different, as in how much they rotate. And also, this little fork is only a one-way fork, so this little sleeve, I don't know if you can see on the camera, one side is thicker than the other so that it is kind of idiot-proof when you assemble it, so that this little sleeve will only slide on there one way. Between Series 4 and Series 5, this little fork is flipped 180. So that was interesting to figure out, because I had it all put together, and I put these little sleeves on there to watch it work, because you need a little air power. And I was like, those are backwards. Those aren't, that's not gonna work. So I have one, so I have one S4 rod, one S4 rod, and one S5 rod, and I just filed the S4 one so that they will face the correct direction. Next portion of this is the rest of the fuel system. This still needs to be cleaned a little bit more, but this is the intake fuel pump I got from a guy off Facebook, goes by William Sanders on Facebook. If you need any Mazda truck parts, he is the guy. He told me that he has around 250 trucks in his lot, all B2000s and 2200s from the 80s and 90s. So he hooked me up with an in-tank fuel pump, super cheap, because this truck originally had a a block fuel pump. And so the fuel cylinder in the tank is just that, it's just a cylinder. So this one actually has a fuel pump attached to it and the proper wiring. So what I'm gonna do is put a RX7 fuel pump with this bracket so I can have proper fuel pressure. This originally would only have like 40 PSI max pressure, according to the manual I had, and Rotaries need up to 90. So I'm just gonna swap the fuel pump, make a little custom bracket for it to fit on this thing. This crazy contraption. And put it in the tank, and we will go brap after that. So that is the entire intake that has been thoroughly cleaned and ported, amongst other things. So we're looking for a lot more power with the ported intake, the ported engine, the custom exhaust, and the standalone ECU should allow us to tune it to proper horsepower. That's all we got going now. Stay tuned for the next video. We'll be doing a few of the little things that I just mentioned here and moving forward with the standalone, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.